Welcome everyone for the daily divine wisdom. So, as we are all here gathered together to feel happy, this is the 30-day happiness challenge which we have got. And in this happiness challenge, what do we need to do? What are the techniques to apply? What things can we do to feel happy? Practically, what can we do to reduce the stress and remain in the blissful state all the time? And Dr. Bhardwaj also calls it that every minute you can check what's going on what's the frequency we are trying to vibrate. So let's take a look at it, what Dr. Joe Dispenza is saying on this subject, and we will be making it practical recommendations. What can we apply from our side?
Let me just write down 4 thoughts that, like, I can, it's too hard, I'll start tomorrow, this doesn't feel right, whatever it is. And how you think, how you act, and how you feel is your personality, and your personality is intimately connected to your personal reality, your life. So then if you want to change your life, your personal reality, you got to change your personality. And here we go again. You got to start becoming conscious of your unconscious thoughts. Just write those down and say, these thoughts, like Gandalf on the bridge, you may not pass today. This is the end. So then if you become conscious of those thoughts, now you're the governor of your thoughts.
Now, that is the most important thing. And greatest spiritual scientists have also talked about this. Create a diary. That diary means that what thoughts which are coming in, just like we go to any city, we have traffic lights. Traffic lights are red, yellow, and green. That means whenever there is a red light, that means stop. Stop the thoughts right there and then feel the happiness thought, then move to the next thought. That's very important. That is creating the diary. Once we start creating the diary, that means what are the conscious and unconscious thoughts and what can we do practically, what we can do to achieve that. So that's what Dr. Joe Dispenza is talking about here.
Less than 2% of the Americans actually write their intentions or goals down. The ones that do actually write them down, they have an 80% chance of reaching those goals if they write them down. So when you write something down, you're telling your brain that you mean it. It's a direction that you're moving, and it has to be ongoing.
And one time, don't do that right now, but I had a challenge of writing with my left hand. What is the frequency of happiness? So, I'm so happy and grateful to feel grateful to be alive today. I used to write it down with my left hand just to practice it out. It doesn't matter what we do, but writing down or at least monitoring the thoughts. And that's what Dr. Bhardwaj talks about this very nicely.
And it's a to-be statement. A to-be statement is something that you're evolving into. Once you get clear on your intention, sponsoring thoughts, list the reasons why you want to be healthy. Because those sponsoring thoughts are really going to be the driving force to get you going in that direction. If it's healthy, you may have vitality. You may want to look better. If it's wealth, you want freedom. That's what you really want. Freedom to do whatever you want, right? So when you begin to define your intention and you couple it with a sponsoring thought, now you're giving your body a taste emotionally of what that future is going to be like. Now, the next step is to plan your actions.
Now, this is what is very important. What he's saying is neuropathways. Create the neuropathway of happiness. Create the neuropathway of health. Create the neuropathway of what you are thinking at any given time. And once we start creating that neuropathway of happiness, then the happy thought will always come in play. Dr. Bhardwaj, would you like to say a few words on this?
Yeah, my dear, would like to comment a little bit here that basically doctor is trying to tell you to note down your thoughts and all that, what is coming to you, to your mind, and then, try to do something better to remain happier or to design your style of life. This is what is in your hands because you have got a habit forming. Now, the wisdom is that your attention, which can monitor, it is like an omni scanner. What all information goes into the mind, your wisdom can scan it all and can monitor. So it's a very good habit that you are using your body to write down Now there is a triple effect. Body is now writing, and the mind, which has got all those thoughts, and your wisdom, your creative intelligence is monitoring it. So that is how he's mentioning you how to really write it down. And once you write it down, it starts, you know, affecting your brain, because the body activity and the mind and the soul, they work together to create this atmosphere, which we are trying to say as, beyond cognition. So first of all, we got to understand the cosmic cognitive restructuring. We got to do that part. And then we got to go beyond cognition to monitor whatever is happening in your life, and you can direct it, because body and mind will use your attention and use it like a donkey day in and day out for their works. So you got to allow your wisdom to monitor the whole concept and to remain happier. It is within your hands, my dear, because attention is that which you can use. You can give the attention or you don't give the attention. It is in your hands. Whereas mind is trying to run you into daily routines. So you can change your life and remain happier in life. That is how Rohit has taken this challenge to make you happier. And I hope this wisdom will help you to regain yourself and to remain happy 24/7 all the time. Because that energy is running your system 24/7. And if you start relying on it, something wonderful will happen. Please go ahead over to Rohit.
Yeah, thank you, Bhardwaj. Let me play it again.
Master your day, one day at a time. So now you've already dismantled an old part of yourself, and you say, today, the thought I'm going to have is that I am a genius and I accomplish everything. Or I live in no time, the universe provides for me. The universe lives in my favor. Different compartments of the brain begin to unify, they begin to synchronize, and what syncs in the brain links in the brain. So when your brain is coherent, you're coherent. When your brain is incoherent, you are incoherent. So we've measured this thousands of times. We'll see very large areas of the brain, huge areas, begin to synchronize together. Then we'll see the left side of the brain talk to the right side of the brain. We'll see the front part of the brain talk to the back part. We see this kind of whole brain state start to take place. And I see it every time. They feel so complete that it's impossible to want. How can you want when you're whole? And that's the moment the magic happens. We see a strip chart, we're measuring someone's brain, and all of a sudden we just see this brrr, and then there'll be a pause. And then 10 minutes later, brrr, and we know that's downloads. The person is having epiphanies, they're having downloads. We're getting raw information that's beyond our senses. The nervous system really is the superconductor of consciousness.
Let's write down the feelings of how you would feel if that future happened, and you're going to have to feel that feeling before it occurs. So now, okay, what does an abundant person feel? Pretty much free, in love with life, grateful to be alive, abundant.
And this is the most important thing. How we feel at any given time, it is not someone else's responsibility. And this is very, very important subject to understand, that it's not someone else who's making us feel differently. How we are feeling about that situation, that is in our hands. That means it's not someone else who's controlling our emotions. And that's what it is. That means just like we do a driving, what do we do in driving? First time we do driving, we have a driving instructor with us. He's saying turn left, we turn left, turn right, we turn right. We memorize all the streets, take a right turn, take a left turn. What we are trying to do, we are creating neural pathways in our circuits. He says stop, then we put a brake and then we stop our thoughts. Same thing is true with us. Every day have a ritual of feeling happy. And if that ritual needs to be every hour, have it every hour. That means take breaks, 1 hour breaks. That means 5-minute break is important. That means what we are trying to do is we are neuro pathway, we are trying to create what am I going to do when I'm going to feel happy. Doesn't matter what the other person is saying or not. It's not the other person who's controlling our happiness. It's our perception that they are controlling. And that is where the problem comes in. Like, where we think that, hey, let me try to satisfy everybody, then only I'll love myself. No, love starts from loving our own self first. Accept the way we are. Accept the way we are. I have positive and negative qualities both. When we have positive and negative qualities, that means I accept both of them. Doesn't matter. I love both of them. Yes, I have a negative quality. I sometimes become angry. It's perfectly fine. If I can accept myself, then I can accept somebody else also. They can also be having positive and negative qualities. They can also feel unconditionally. You just send love to them. And that's what happens when we start feeling that.
Okay, now let's practice. The moment you feel gratitude, your healing begins. The moment you feel worthy and abundant, you're generating wealth. The moment you're empowered, you are moving towards your success. The moment you're in love with yourself and you're in love with life, you'll create an equal. The moment you are in awe of life, you're going to have a mystical experience. And so that's causing an effect, right? So then if you can teach people then how to create, instead of from lack or separation, but create from wholeness, and create from what we call the quantum field instead of three-dimensional reality. Okay, the quantum field is an invisible field of energy that exists beyond our senses. You can't see it, you can't smell it, you can't taste it, you can't hear it, you can't feel it. It exists beyond our experience of three-dimensional reality. And how much of your waking day are you aware of energy and frequency? For most people, they're unaware of the quantum field. And if you're unaware of it, it doesn't exist for you. You could study all kinds of science and they'll tell you there is this invisible field of frequency and energy that exists beyond the senses that tend to connect everything physical and material. In fact, everything physical and material is connected to this field. How do you get there? So we discovered that when you take all of your attention off your body, you are not paying attention to your emotions, your drives, your habits. If you could take all of your attention off of every element in your environment, your cell phone, your tablet, your computer, your car, your bed. Take your attention away from everything, every place that you live, where you sleep, where you work. There tends to be a dramatic change in the way the brain functions when people do this properly. We call it getting beyond yourself, but in a sense, you're dissociating from your three-dimensional reality. Why? Because if you're thinking about anything in your three-dimensional reality, that's where your attention is and that's where your energy is.
And when I can stay in that place of uncertainty and unknown, and I can transmute that energy into clarity or gratitude, and I can get my energy up, even though there's chaos around me, then I'm filling that void between the old self and the new self with information. And when you change your energy, you change your life. In other words, you're so busy being elevated, no, you can't predict what's going to happen. You're just very clear you're not going to go back to those familiar cravings and familiar urges. We will begin to help you get clear on the direction that you're moving and allow that energy to push you. Now, that energy is like the flame in the alchemist's crucible. It's going to turn base metals into gold. It's going to remove the dross. And so purification comes with quite a bit of agitation. There's got to be a stirring that takes place. And I think that most of us in the last year or two have felt this incredible stirring inside of ourselves. And that's because the energy is so intense that our nervous systems have to really adapt to it. So I think our purpose in life is really to remove these layers, these masks, these habits and emotions that block the flow of the divine.
Now he's talking about the data. Everything is data. Data means data, bad data, good data. It doesn't matter. We can have a bad data, we can have a good data. Some people have good data, some people have bad data. But that's just data. That's just the mind. Behind the mind, we calm ourselves down, everything is divine. The divinity which is within us, can we tap into that divinity? Can we start feeling that divinity? That's where the feeling starts to happen. When we start feeling happiness, happy thoughts, and we start calming the mind down, what we are doing is we are reducing the frequency at which we are trying to vibrate. And when we vibrate at a frequency of love, and that scientists have proven that when we vibrate at the frequency of love, no matter what other person is saying, the response from our side is love. That's the most important thing what he's talking about here. Dr. Bhardwaj, would you like to talk on this?
Divine within us.
Well, dear, this is what is getting more clearer through the science which Rohit is trying to tell you all. And the spiritual scientist will explain it little differently, but the same thing. That you are divine and it is in your hands, the divinity in you is expressed through your attention. And wherever the attention goes, the divine energy flows. Whereas the second body in you is your mind. As very rightly Rohit explained you that it is only data. It is all information. But it is not working, The working ability is in your attention. Because attention has to carry out. And the third entity is your material body. So how this attention is energizing mind and body, and in lieu, body and mind are trying to rule your attention the way they want. But at the same time, Rohit is trying to tell you that you have got that attention which can take a lead in rather running the mind, using that information which mind is providing, and using the ability of your body. And how he does it? He starts laughing loudly by putting his hands, into the sky. Ha ha ha. So this is how he wants to make you feel right from the body and at the same time in the mind also, because you are divine. And then this is how the mind is only data and material is your body. So allow your attention to run these two fellows. Uh, uh, by the way, if you have to use your attention, what really happens in life? That mind and body suggest something, and we start doing that only without using that wisdom. That your attention is like an omni scanner and it can look into all those pluses and minuses, means good and bad things, and then you take a decision to keep yourself happier. So this is what is the aim of Rohit, to keep you happy within these 30 days, and you must adopt it in your life all the time. You can remain happy. That's good. Over to Rohit.
Thank you, Bhardwaj. Let me finish what Dr. Geo Dispenza is saying, and then we'll have final word from Dr. Bhardwaj. 1 second.
Every morning when you start your day, before you open your eyes and reach for your cell phone and check your WhatsApp and your texts and your Facebook, before you plug yourself back into your same familiar world, sit there and get very clear on what that future will be like and begin to emotionally embrace it before it happens. And if you do that properly, you're moving into a new state of being. First thing I would have people do is to really decide what they want in their life. I mean, that's the first step. Decide what your future could look like. Get clear on what that vision is and write down the specifics of what you want in your life, whether it's with your family or your career.
Now, this is very important. What is the most important thing in our life? Like, is it the happiness, peace of mind and happiness? And then that's the question we can ask. Do I need to have the peace of mind and happiness a number one priority? Is contribution my number one priority? Is love, my connection is my number one priority? Or making money is my number one priority? So based on that, what happened? Those are the value system which we are creating. Based on those values, we start to act towards it. So the action will come when the feelings are being put into place with the priority. We need to make sure relationship with self, relationship with everyone whom we are relating with has to be strong, loving. That can only happen when we have good relationship with our own self.
Or with a relationship, whatever it is, get clear on what that vision is of yourself in the future. And then write down the emotions
of how you'll feel when it happens. Will you be joyful? Will you be enthusiastic? Will you be filled with energy? Will you love your life and be in a constant state of gratitude? And now you have a clear intention and elevated emotion. So then most people think in the past, and feelings and emotions are the end product of past experiences. So if you're feeling the same way every single day, it means nothing new is happening in your life. And if those feelings are driving your thoughts, then you're thinking in the past. So most people's biology, for the most part, living in the past. By the time we're 35 years old, is a set of memorized behaviors and emotional reactions, beliefs, perceptions, pretty much on autopilot. That's 95% of most people. So their 5% is working against 95% of what they've memorized subconsciously. So the first step then is becoming conscious of your unconscious thoughts, becoming aware of your automatic behaviors, and then noticing and paying attention to the emotions that you feel every day. When you begin to free yourself from the chains of those addictive emotions, you begin to open your heart, the field around your body. The heart begins to produce a magnetic field that sometimes can go to 9 meters wide. And if you can teach a person how to feel an elevated emotion and sustain it, and they begin to like drop pebbles in water over and over again, and they start to produce these beautiful waves. If they feel deeply and richly and profoundly, they're dropping big stones that are producing bigger waves. Now those waves are energy, and energy is frequency, and all frequency carries information like radio waves and cell phone waves. What those waves carry is your thought, your intent. So now the carrier of your own vibrational patterns to begin to carry information that is going to begin to influence matter. People are afraid of because they'd rather live in guilt. At least they can predict who they're going to be than take a chance in possibility. You have to really begin to mentally rehearse. Ask yourself at the end of your day, I do this every day, how'd I do? First thing you have to do is you have to decide, are you going to be defined by a vision of the future, or are you going to live by the memories of the past? Now, thoughts are the language of the brain, and feelings are the language of the body, and how you think and how you feel creates your state of being. So we could say that most people's entire state of being when they start their day is in the familiar past. Well, if you live in the familiar past, then it makes sense you're going to create the predictable future. Your body is your unconscious mind. Some people would rather cling to the familiar than take a chance in possibility. For most people, then, they say, well, I don't really see how my thoughts have anything to do with my destiny. Well, that's because 95% of those thoughts are subconscious programs, right? So you're not even conscious that you think those thoughts. So the first step to change is starting to think about what you've been thinking about and change it. And then when you begin to observe those thoughts, now the game is on, right? Yes. Because now you're working to become conscious of that and not go unconscious again.
Now, this is what is called as observer. We observe the thoughts and see that, hey, in the past hour, he's saying during the day at the last moment when we are sleeping, that's too late. Past hour, what thoughts did I have? Were those thoughts of happiness? Were those thoughts of bliss? Were those thoughts of gratitude? If not, what can I do in the next hour to change it? This is called as lead measures. Lead measures is like something in business we use it. What something happened, we can't change that. What can I do in the next hour to feel happy? That's very important. That means I can slow down. I can take rest in between my day. I can make a pre-programmed perspective, how I want to feel. And I can say, ha 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 ha. Now I'm trying to change my physiology. Then when I change the physiology, the mind start to seek. What I'm seeking, I'll start getting it. That's what Dr. Joe Dispenza is saying. Whatever we seek, we'll be getting it right away. That's what he's saying.
And it takes an incredible amount of awareness.
Yes.
It takes a great amount of consciousness, and you can't have consciousness without energy. So you got to raise your energy in order to get to it. Otherwise, you're going to be consumed.
Yes.
You're going to return back, right? So if you start becoming familiar, so conscious of those unconscious thoughts, they would never slip by your mind unchecked by you. Because if you combine a clear intention, a coherent thought, coherent brainwave pattern, with a coherent heart, moving into that elevated emotion, thoughts are electric and feelings are magnetic. The magnetism of this center becomes the energy. The intention is carried on that energy. And now you are broadcasting a new signature into the quantum field. When you lock into that frequency, if you keep revisiting that energetic signature over again every single day, then you don't have to go anywhere and get it. The new job finds you. The new house actually finds you. The new relationship finds you because you are the vortex that's drawing the experience to you. Let me just write down.
Now that is that's great. Dr. Joe Dispenza has talked about. Let's hear Dr. Bhardwaj.
Well, dear, here's I would like to add up some wisdom to the whole concept which doctor is trying to tell you, that you are not running your mind. The universal mind, through high tide, low tide, you could see that how those drops make those ripples onto the water. You could see in this video. And here I would like to add and tell you that the universal mind runs your mind through gravitational magnetic fields like high tide, low tide, which can move that water up and down. And in your body, you have got 75, 80% water here. And that also goes up and down and triggers certain components in your brain. And that is what gives you all those thought processes, which is based on your karma theory. Here, the science is explaining you this way, and the spiritual scientist tells you that the mind, which is in a specific mode, which has to make you suffer due to your karma part, is there. But then the science and the spiritual wisdom is telling you not to give attention to all that in future. Always run your life with divine attributes, which are love, compassion, mercy, wisdom, etc. So, wisdom is to look how the mind is trying to disturb you, and it wants to make you angry on a specific subject. At the same time, the doctor is telling you that you will attract all those things. So, it is you who are energizing the mind. If you don't energize the mind, if you don't give your attention, the mind, calms down. Whereas your attention is to attract few things for your good life. And you can do that. It is in your hands. Whatever attention you want to give, wherever you want to give your attention, you can. So if you know this, that somebody else is running your mind and you don't allow this to happen, then you can remain happier, and you can decide how to remain happy ever after. So this is in your hands, that wherever your attention goes, the divine energy flows. It can change things. And that is what you are being taught by Rohit Bhardwaj, to remain happier by using this wisdom. Thank you very much, Rohit. Over to you.
Thank you, Bhardwaj. Thank you for your wisdom. Thanks everyone for joining in, and we will have a wonderful time. Let's now remember as a recap, every hour, check the frequency. Every hour, check what happened in the previous hour, what observation thoughts were there. And if we feel that some thoughts were there which were which were taking us down, then what can we do? We can observe them and say that in the next hour, what things can I change to feel happy? Can I pretend to feel happy? Yes. Can I change the script which is running at that time? I can change that. That means if something happened which is not as per my expectation, I can say triple happiness. Triple happiness means that we greet anything which is happening is coming from the divine, from the energy it's coming. Energy is just divine, energy is coming, and when it comes, we greet it, and then we shake hand with it, we meet that, and then we send unconditional love to that. Number three is triple, means unconditional love to that thing get resolved in love. So how about we practice this, what he's saying? Let's write down what we want, or imprint or observe what we are observing, and then we can make it real. We can say, oh, what thought is coming in, can I, this thought is not a good thought, instead of dwelling on the data, what thing can I produce? And that's what we'll be focusing on for the homework for today. Dr. Bhardwaj, you want to add anything?
I think you have done it. It's beautifully explained. that we must know how to use this attention, because attention is the carrier of everything. It can make those ripples in the quantum field, because these vibrations come from your creative intelligence, which is your attention. And attention is part of all knowing, all pervading. So that energizes mind and body. It energizes the universal mind and each atom. So the carrier of all those instructions have to go through the attention, because attention can create all those ripples of happiness. It can, rather, if the mind is using it, so it can drag you down into sorrows and all those worries, and stress, etc. Whereas it is in your hands. Don't give your attention to that stress. Give your attention to your happiness. It is in your hands. That is what is the best wisdom part, that the carrier of all that energy is your attention. And that can make ripples eh, in the quantum field, which will attract what you need, what you want. So this is what is the key to the whole concept from the spiritual scientists. That is what is wisdom. Thank you very much, Rohit. Over to you.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful day.